Hello, I am Sheena Peril / Sophia Beaumont. I'm an author of historical fiction, gothic fantasy, urban fantasy. I write a lot of genres. And today I'm going to take you through a short writing vlog. Maybe it'll last a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm just trying to get some work done. So today is Thursday, the 4th of February, 2021. I'm very tired. I had working my day job as well. And if you look over here, wrong direction, still getting used to the camera. That's my desk. There's a slight problem with that desk, in which it is entirely taken up by the computer from my office, which means that my actual writing is taking place here. So, as you might notice, this is my bed. I've got my laptop, my pens and pencils for handwriting, a couple of different notebooks, lap desk, cat. I recently just posted a blog post about some of the different notebooks that I use in my writing and my planning. So if you want to know more about those, you can go check that out. Today with me, I have, this is my brain. This is all of my business writing stuff. It's got all of my schedule for my blog posts, when everything needs to go up on my Patreon. It has my production schedule for my books. It's got everything in it, so I can't really show you the inside of that one. This is a handwritten draft that I just started the other day for a book I really shouldn't be working on, but the plot bunnies are real, and I had to chase them down and get them out of the way so that I could work on other things. And then this is my regular planner with just my to-do list. So I'm going to fill that out, get my brain together, figure out what I'm doing, and then hopefully I can write 1,000 words tonight. I hope. We'll see. So today is the 5th. I think it's Thursday. I'm not sure. As you can tell, we're off to a slightly rough start this morning. I only wrote about 400 words yesterday because I got hit with the chronic fatigue stick. If you didn't know this, I have a couple different endocrine conditions, the end result being that I have chronic fatigue. I can be fine, and then 10 minutes later I'm completely incapable of keeping my eyes open. So I wrote about 400 words, like 434 yesterday, and then I took a 2-hour nap because that was all I was capable of doing. So today, still want to write 1,000 words. My goal is to finish this manuscript by the end of February. It's not a hard and fast deadline. This book isn't scheduled to come out until fall of 2022. And that's debatable. I self-publish, so I can change my schedule if I need to, but I try and plan in advance. So I'm going to try and do a little bit more writing this morning and try not to fall asleep because I didn't sleep well last night. That's another side effect of my conditions. I get insomnia as well as chronic fatigue, which is a really fun overlap. And my brain's not working, but I'm going to try and write anyway. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so it's a couple of hours later. I ended up taking a nap on my lunch break because I was so exhausted. Did put on some makeup though, so I am feeling a little bit better. Still tired, but I'm managing. I'm up to 1,650 words for the day. Some of that was pulled from a previous draft, but I'm gonna call that some pretty good progress that basically means that I'm on par for yesterday and today. I'm at 2,000 words between the 2 days. So where I want to be, I finished a chapter. I'm going to go ahead and stop on this document for the day, and then I need to spend the rest of my time today working on revisions in another document and the editing project that I'm doing for Ash. So, working on that, moving on to the next steps, but I feel a lot better having gotten this far today. I didn't think I would be quite this productive. So that's where we are on day 2. I'm not sure how long this vlog is gonna last. Should I do it to the weekend? Should I include next week, since apparently weeks start on Thursdays now? I don't know yet. We'll find out. We'll see. Depends on how much footage I have and how chatty I feel. Hello. It is Monday morning. I didn't vlog over the weekend just because I was very tired. I didn't feel like it. On Saturday, I put in about 1,000 words on my current drafting project, and Sunday I didn't do any drafting, but I did edit 2 chapters for my Patreon, as well as updating a blog. So I did get that done, and it also occurred to me last night that I never told you what exactly I'm working on. So I've published 7 books at this point, is that correct? I've got the 3 books in the Evie Capelli series, which is also available in omnibus, but I don't count that one. And then I have my 3 Musketeers book, which is all for one. By the Grace just came out last fall. Before that, it was Off the Rails. So that's 7, and then I've also got a novella out. So that's 8 if you want to count it. I count it with the omnibus, since they're both half. So 8-ish books. And so currently I am working on editing / redrafting a novel, and it's historical fantasy, a little bit horror. It's historical fantasy. It's set in the mid-1800s in England, and originally the way I wrote it was it had a very linear timeline, but then in between each chapter you would get a flashback to what happened 20 years earlier. But I kept getting feedback that people didn't like it as a book with flashbacks. They wanted it as 2 separate books. So that's what I'm in the process of doing, is splitting this single manuscript into 2 books. I'm not sure I like it that way. I think I like it better as the original. I think the first book is kind of boring because there's just not enough story there to carry it through. And I'm just not sure how I feel about it. I need to find some people to read it and tell me what they think, and see if they like the streamlined version better than the back and forth version, which I can understand why the back and forth is confusing. It's just, that was the book that I set out to write, and doing it as a duology, I feel like it takes something away from the story and from the reveals. So that's the current drafting project I'm working on. The editing project that I'm working on is just a basic reread. If you are a member of my Patreon, which is probably how you found this video because I'm releasing it to patrons first, then you know that every week I post a chapter from a current thing that I'm working on. And it's not necessarily that I'm drafting it at that moment, it's just, it's a completed manuscript that is in the process of being edited. So I'm editing that book for Patreon, which is sort of like a Charmed meets Sleepy Hollow type thing. It's about this young woman who comes back to her hometown after financial difficulties, and people start dying. And it looks like someone might be targeting her family. So she is trying to find out what's going on, and there's magic and ghosts, because if it's me, there is either going to be a witch or there's going to be a ghost. That's just the way it is. So if you're down for that, check out my Patreon. I've got several full books up there already that have been posted in this serial format, so you'll get to see early drafts before they make it to publication. And then the third project I'm working on, like I said, I'm just reading for Ash, who is my roommate slash adopted sister slash partner in crime, and we swap services for each other because we live together. It doesn't make sense to pay each other. So she does cover art for me, and I pay her in knitwear, and we swap editing and beta reading services for each other, and that's how we get things done. Today it's Monday, it's the 8th, and I don't know if I'm gonna get any writing done today because it's Monday. Mondays suck, we all know this. And when I'm done with work, I'm usually kind of exhausted. I usually end up taking about an hour and a half nap when I'm done with work. So I don't know if I'm gonna have the energy to write. I also need to go through my to-do list. I'd like to get another blog post scheduled. I don't know if I'm going to have time to write it today, but I at least need to figure out what it's going to be and do any preliminary research for Friday. And all of the links to my Patreon and my blog and everything will be down below in the description, as well as links to my books. I do write under 2 different pen names, as I mentioned at the beginning. You can find me as Sheen Apparel, where I write historical, fantasy, horror, and my urban fantasy and a little bit lighter, funnier stuff is written as Sophia Beaumont. So I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to look at my to-do lists, figure out what my plan's going to be, and I will check back in later. The nice thing about vlogging, I've noticed, is that it actually gets me dressed and wearing makeup, which after nearly a year of pandemic has been a very rare occurrence. And it's nice to wear makeup again. I enjoy it. I'm not great at it, but I enjoy it. It's Friday. I haven't written much this week. Basically, just my day job has kind of been kicking my butt. I've had a project that would normally take me 3 hours that has taken me 3 days, and then I got part 2 of that project. So it's not been a whole lot of fun. Normally I have like 15-minute bursts where I can put out a blog post or work on a chapter or something. That hasn't happened this week. I had grand plans. It just hasn't worked out. I tried. So I'm going to be ending this vlog here with this clip, but first I wanted to show you some research books that I've acquired fairly recently. These aren't all from the same shopping trip or book order, but these are all research books that I've gotten either from our local used bookstore or from thriftbooks.com, which I'll post a link below. And this might give you a hint as to what I write, what I'm working on right now, what will be coming out in the future. And I'll also be posting links to the books that I already have out down below as well. So the first one is The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I've been looking for this book for a while because Elizabeth Gaskell and Charlotte Bronte were actually good friends. If you know anything about 19th century British literature or even American literature, everybody knew each other. They all were like writing letters to each other and going to visit each other. They just all knew who they were. It was a very small community, and that can also be said now in a lot of cases thanks to social media. So this is research for the book that I've actually been working on writing and editing this week. Unfortunately, I have not gotten to read it yet. I didn't find it until recently. And then the rest of these, I'm pretty sure, are all from thrift books. Next up is This Republic of Suffering, Death in the Civil War, because books like this are great when you write ghost stories. I'm also really interested in medical history. If you're familiar with my blog, I do regular posts on would this kill me in the 1800s? And I love writing about that and trying to figure out like this thing that we take for granted now, like chickenpox. How lethal was it in the days before penicillin and Advil? You know, this one is The Night Witches, which I have been wanting to read ever since I first heard about this book by Gwen C. Katz, which is about female pilots in Russia working for the Allies during World War II. Now this is for a current research project, and I got it specifically for one chapter that unfortunately didn't have the information I needed. This is The Cultural World of Eleonora de Toledo, which was very kindly given to me by a friend who found it on her bookshelf. This book is normally at least $40 or $50 used. It's been out of print for a while. It's a fantastic source if you have an interest in Renaissance fashion, in Renaissance women. It's a really great book, and I can't wait to actually read the rest of it. But for right now, because it's a source book, I'm just kind of looking at things as I need them. Next we have Wanted Correspondence, and this is a collection of letters between a Union soldier and some women that he was writing to, which is not like a creepy thing. It was like these men would go to war and they wouldn't have any family back home, and that would be really disheartening to them to not have anyone to return to. So they would post in newspapers looking for pen pals just so they could have that morale boost. And they would also sometimes write to women from the Sanitary Commission or donors who gave socks or sewed items for the soldiers as donations, and they would tuck their names into the donated items. And this is a thing that continued from the Civil War up until World War II. So this I got largely for a language reference, but also for other information as well. These two are not used, they're print on demand, but they are for 19th century knitting books. So I have Godey's Lady's Book, January 1864. And if you are curious about this one, I encourage you to go look at my first video, which was a flip through of a, what's it, January 1865, I think. I have an actual original copy that I do a flip through of. And then this is The Queen's Winter Knitting Book by Mrs. Me and Miss Austen of the Knitter's Companion. This is series 3. I have not found series 1 and 2. But these are just some 19th century knitting patterns because I'm a nerd and I like looking through those, and eventually I would like to reproduce some of these. But if you know anything about historic knitting patterns, like before 1940, they're not standardized. And they don't have pictures. There's very little information here. So that's a project for another day. And then this one's going to be fun. Stories the Soldiers Wouldn't Tell, Sex in the Civil War. This one I'm going to enjoy. I love reading about women during the Civil War and like the home front. and a lot of the historical periods that I study, like World War II and the Civil War, there's all of this violence, and everybody talks about the battles and, you know, the weaponry and everything. And I'm not interested in that so much. I'm interested in what was going on in the home front. What were the women doing? How were the people at home surviving? What about the men who couldn't go into battle? What was the aftermath like for the people who came home, who had to care for these disabled soldiers who were living with PTSD? So that's kind of the perspective that I like to research in my historical novels. And along that line, I have Life in Victorian Britain by Judith Flanders. I'm sorry, this is the Michael Patterson book. I do have a book similar to this somewhere by Judith Flanders, has an almost identical title, and she is like the most excellent source for Victorian Britain for anything. She also wrote The Invention of Murder. Highly recommend. And then She Went to the Field, more about women in the Civil War, because I have a type. And then lastly, I have London Labor and London Poor. You know, some of these books go together. For example, all the Civil War books go together, obviously, but the Life in Victorian Britain and London Labor and London Poor, that is for a book that I probably won't get to writing this year. I have a rough start to it, like maybe the first chapter. That's probably going to be a project for either very late this year or sometime next year. So that is my sort of mini book haul of research books. I get all of my books either used or from the library. I might do a video about this or a post about it if you guys are interested, but we moved cross country in 2019, and I had to kind of reevaluate my relationship with my book collection. And I've worked really hard to pare it down to only buy books that I either can't get from the library or that I know I'm going to be rereading multiple times. And so it's kind of changed how I keep my books, how I store my books, what types of things I buy and look for. But I think that's going to be it for me for this vlog. If you've enjoyed it, if you want me to come back with more of them, please let me know. I do think I will be starting another one in maybe 2 weeks once I get a manuscript back from my editor. And that way you can see how it goes through the process of edits and then the final formatting and then uploading into the various outlets that I use to sell my books to final publication for self-published authors. In the meantime, I hope that you are having a wonderful day, that you are staying safe and healthy, and that you have something warm and fluffy to snuggle with. And I will see you all next time. Bye.